Awesome. I think that was very profound. And I'm reminded of this one thing that Swami Vivekananda said, that
Uh-huh.
if you go and meet someone who is physically challenged or visually challenged,
Yeah.
right? And you cannot go and tell him, okay, you are this way because of your karmas in the past life, right?
Yeah,
You
God.
cannot
Yeah.
be so rude, but
Yeah.
instead help that person to
Yeah.
progress or in whatever way that you can.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah.
going to add on to your spiritual wealth as well. And if the
Mm-hmm.
other person comes to the spiritual path, then so there is nothing like God's grace in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the most powerful wisdoms of the
Mm-hmm.
Bhagavad Gita, and as you were also talking about, sometimes you are able to practice the wisdom, but sometimes it is difficult, of course. And one very profound philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita is based on Karma Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you practice this on a daily basis? If you have any tips and tricks that you would like to share with our audience today.
Yeah. So I think Karma Yoga is basically about doing your actions in a spirit of sacrifice, in a spirit of offering to the universe, and not doing it for personal gain. That's how I see it. And every action is a yagna. You are offering it up to the gods, to the universe, and saying whatever result comes out of it, it's fine. I accept it as prasad because I'm just offering this, and I have no control over what will happen. So you try to keep your expectations at zero. That is a little difficult, but you know, as as low as possible, because Krishna says, what you have to do is karmaneva adhikaras. Only you only have the adhikara over your action. You have no adhikara over the phal of that action. So focus on the effort and let go of the fruit. It's a very, very counterintuitive kind of philosophy to the mainstream philosophy of today, which is go after what you want. You have to visualize it, you have to manifest it, as if we have the power just by visualizing to make something happen. I mean, it's good to remain positive, to work as hard, because again, the Gita doesn't let you just sit back and say, yeah, but this is my karma, so I have to just sit back, things will happen. It won't happen. You have the power over your destiny, for sure. You're born in a particular circumstance, of course, that you don't have the power over. But just by being a good person, just by being a mindful person, just by being a dharmic person, you have the great power to change not only your own mental processes and in that way your destiny, but also sweeten the lives of everybody around you, inspire people around you, all that. But the way it must be done is without any selfish, without any wish for selfish gain. You just do your
Mm,
100%
mm,
effort, 0% expectation. And I like to tell children that, just think about it. I ask kids, like, because I'm mostly talking to children, um, why? So I say, in what Krishna says is everyone should do their dharma. That's what he's telling Arjuna. You are a king and a soldier, and your dharma is to protect your people and to fight against injustice, and that's what you're doing. So how can you run away from the battlefield? You have to uphold your dharma. That's what I. And when Arjuna says, but mama janaha, I mean, they are my people, he says, and so if just because they're your people, what they're doing is not wrong, or they must not be punished. That's the worst kind of alliance, where you feel they're mine, therefore they're somehow different from everybody else, where you
mm,
where you
mm.
personify the action rather than thinking of the action itself, objectifying it and saying what is the wrong here. And it's not who is doing the wrong, but are they doing wrong or not. And it's the same
Right.
punishment or the same attitude you must have, whether they're your people or some other people. If the action is wrong, it's wrong. That's all. You can't. So I tell kids, okay, so uh, what is your dharma as a student? What should you do? And they all sweetly will say to study hard and to come first, no, to study hard, whatever. I say, okay, why do you or whatever, to make our parents happy, etc. Then I'm like, okay, so why do you study, why do you have to study hard? And then they say, to make our parents happy, to make our teachers proud, to top the class, to get a good job, get into a good college. All this is important. And some of the wiser, more evolved ones will say, to gain knowledge. Okay, so that's why we have to
Mm.
study. And then, then I tell them that, according to Krishna, these are all wrong reasons, all of them. And they say, what? Then why should we study? And I said, because it's your dharma as a student. That's your duty, so you need to study. That's all. There is no for something. You're not studying for anything.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
studying because that is what one must do when you're a student. That is your responsibility. That's your duty. And you carry it out to the best of your ability at all times. And then I say, because just think about it. If you're studying really, really hard and you're studying to come first in class, you're saying, I'm studying so hard because I want to come first in class. Isn't that a toxic wish to put out into the universe? Aren't you actually saying, I don't care how hard anybody else studies, but they have to come second, third, fourth because I want to come first? And then they're like, that's true. So how can that be a good action if you're wishing everybody else ill so that you can have good? So to come
Hmm.
first,
Hmm.
that's not a right thing. Then I say, and also, if you're concerned so much about the outcome, I want to come for someone. Doesn't that also build in a stress, a fear that you won't, a stress about how hard should I study, a feeling that you're never done enough, a fear that you'll forget something in the exam tomorrow, a fear that somebody else has done 3 revisions while you're still on your first revision. Okay, and then you will call your friends and you'll say, hey, how many times have you revised? Oh, you're on second revision. Oh my god, I'm still in my first revision. Hey, also, are those boxes with the gray boxes, is that in the syllabus or not? Is that coming for the exam or not? My teacher said it's not coming. The other class teacher said it is coming. Oh my god, I haven't studied that. So you create so many vrittis in your mind that it's not calm enough to do the action which is your dharma to do, which is to study. And you fill
Hmm.
yourself
Hmm.
with fear. You are sabotaging, self-sabotage. You're actually
Right. Right. Because the mind
sabotaging
is wavering in 10 different
wavering
directions.
so much. And the whole thing about about Arjuna says, like, should like Arjuna Krishna says, it should be like unwavering, like the flame. Bring it to that
Hmm.
kind of point of focus. How can you do that if your mind is continuously roiled by what other people are doing, and whether
Right.
you will, the fear? So wouldn't it be better instead to just sit quietly and do your best, study as hard as you can, don't leave out any gray box, finish that. It doesn't matter how, because you are doing what you're expected to do as a student, so do it to the best of your ability. Don't waste time calling people, don't. And then the next day when you go to the exam and you do well, as a result of that, if you also come first, that's great. And it's likely that you will do well because you have been focused. And if you don't come first, then you can, at least you can place your hand on your heart and say, well, I did my very best. You don't have to regret or go through remorse saying, if I hadn't called that person and she hadn't made me nervous, I was going along so well until that point. I wish I hadn't
Hmm.
taken time off to
Hmm.
scroll through those Instagram reels. Just as I wish I hadn't. Why put yourself through that kind of pain and remorse and regret? If you can tell
Right.
yourself, boss, I did my very best and it still wasn't good enough today, it's a far better feeling than wishing that you could have done better. You could have spent more time studying. I wish I hadn't gone to that birthday party. I wish I hadn't done that. So focus all your efforts on. So in that sense, I try to do my karma yoga also, in the sense that, and I love the example that Krishna gives. If the whole universe, this is a sacred contract between gods and men, they are constantly giving. The gods are constantly giving. We are so privileged. The sun never calls in sick. The sun always rises. He doesn't care if you did your 20 Surya Namaskars or not. He's coming anyway because it's his dharma to rise. That's all. He's just doing it without any expectation of reward from you. So if the sun can do that and shine equally upon saint and sinner, black and white, happy, unhappy, good, bad, making no distinction between them, what right do you have to expect something in return for your actions? You're already received so much. You're already so blessed. The least you can do is offer up every action as a sacrifice, saying, this is at least this I give back to you in return for doing so much for me, wind, for blowing the monsoon clouds in my direction, to the earth, to Prithvi, for always being so fertile and giving and nourishing all of us. For all these reasons, this is my tiny piece of gratitude to you, that I just offer you back everything I'm doing as a yagna to you. So if we can try and keep that in our minds in every action, it will help us be nice to people who are not nice to us. Because we say, lots of people are polluting the waters, but the river Ganga doesn't stop flowing. She still flows, So if then we can think of ourselves like, if Ganga can do that, then surely we can also. That is something to aspire to. So if we can keep that constant thought in our mind, what the Americans call the attitude of gratitude. If we can
Right.
constantly feel that we have already received so much, what business do we have to complain about anything? Instead, we should just be working as hard as we can, for our communities, for the people around us, for our own selves. Most of us have the problem of being very unkind to ourselves. There's no need.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself, be kind to everybody around you, and that is the only offering you can make back to the universe for all the gifts you have received. So if you have that kind of, I guess it becomes easier to do even work that you don't like very much, or that you are resentful about, that's not fun. But if you think of it as a sacrifice, everything becomes easier.